This is it, the moment we've all been dreading for. Did I say dreading for? I meant waiting for. Hi, welcome back and welcome to another video. I'm Fran, this is frannook in the pages, and today I am finally going to tell you what my favorite books of 2021 were. I have selected 10-ish books to talk to you about today. I will try to be very quick because we don't want this to be 1 hour long. I don't want this to be 1 hour long. I don't know about you. I couldn't come up with an actual list from the least favorite to the most favorite because honestly, it's your pick. It depends on the mood in which I'm in. It depends on what I'm looking for in that specific moment. They're all great books and they all deserve to be on this list. So instead, I'm just gonna go in chronological order because that's how I do things. You will find the timestamps in the description down below in case you're interested in a specific book and you don't really care about the others. I would suggest you to stay for the whole thing because these books are good and I love them so much, but it's up to you. Before we begin, a quick reminder to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. You can click on the bell icon if you want to get notified whenever I upload a new video. You can follow me on the social media, befriend me on Goodreads and Storygraph, and I have a coffee account, which is a digital tipping service. Now that that's out of the way, let's jump right in and see what were my favorite books of 2021. First, I have a graphic novel, and this is a graphic novel that I read in January, and it's also going to be the only book that I physically show to you, and that is What We Don't Talk About by Charlot Kristensen. This is the story of Fari and her boyfriend Adam. She's going to his parents' house for the first time to meet them, and it turns out that they might be a bit racist and that Adam is not the most supportive partner that you could ask for. This graphic novel is about their relationship, their communication issues, and I loved it so much. I loved the illustrations within it. I thought they were so beautiful, and I think it's a nice graphic novel to read if you're in an interracial relationship or if you want to know more about those relationships and the problems that might arise. I feel like this is such an underrated book because I've never seen it anywhere. I've never seen it talked about anywhere, and that's such a shame because I loved it so much. It was so beautiful. It is so important to read these stories, and there you go. I definitely recommend it. Go and pick it up. Next, and I'm going to group these two books together because they're part of the same series, companion novel series, and they are, of course, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and Take a Hint, Dani Brown. I adored both of these books. These are adult romance novels. The characters are so well fleshed out. The romance is incredible, and the second novel in particular absolutely nailed the third act conflict. It was so well done. It wasn't just a stupid misunderstanding that you could have totally avoided if just the two main characters had talked to each other. It was actually like a good, reasonable conflict that needed to be there, and it perfectly fit the story. But let me tell you just a little bit about the synopsis. Get a Life, Chloe Brown is about Chloe. She is chronically ill and she has always lived a shelved sort of life because of her chronic pain, but one day she has a near-death experience and she decides to finally start living her life and to do all those things that she hadn't done before because of her chronic pain. And the other main character is Redford, or Red, and he is the superintendent of the building in which Chloe lives, and I just love them so much. Their relationship was the sweetest thing ever, and story-wise, this was my favorite so far. The second one, Take a Hint, Dani Brown, is about Dani. She is Chloe's sister, of course, and she is a PhD student, if I'm not mistaken. She's a very study and career focused person. She doesn't really do commitments and relationships. One day there is a fire drill at her university and she is saved by the security guard, and there's a photo posted of the two of them and people start thinking that they're a couple, and for different reasons they kind of decide to go along with it and they start fake dating, and then maybe they realize that they're actually in love with each other, and it was just adorable. Again, story-wise, the first one is my favorite so far, but I really loved the third act conflict and how it was done in the second book. Way better than how it was done in the first book. That could have been done just a little bit better. The next favorite book that I read was The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharpe. This is a YA dark mystery contemporary novel. The main protagonist, Nora, she is going to the bank to deposit some money with her girlfriend Iris and her ex-boyfriend Wes. While they're at the bank, robbers come in and they become hostages. What no one knows is that Nora has a dark, mysterious past. She was unwillingly her mother's partner in crime. They used to con men to get their money. So she has a specific set of skills that she will use in this situation to defuse it and to try and make sure that nobody gets hurt and that they get out of it alive. It was just so good. It was really dark. Trigger warnings for guns and violence, for sexual abuse, domestic abuse, depression and mental health issues. The LGBT representation was done so well. I absolutely adored Nora and her girlfriend Iris. They were just the cutest, sweetest thing ever. All the dynamics were so complicated and realistic, and I just, oh my gosh, there were so many twists and turns, and I love this book so much, and you absolutely need to go and read it because it was amazing. Next, and I think I listened to this one in July, and it was One to Watch by Stayman-London. This was such an addictive rom-com. I literally devoured it. I couldn't stop listening to it. First of all, it was narrated by Kristensen, and she is fantastic. She's one of the best narrators ever. She's one of my favorite, if not the favorite. She's the one who narrated A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor and, you know, the whole series by Hank Green. And second, it was so addictive because it is about a reality show, and reality shows are addictive. That's just the way it is. Whether you like it or not, they're so addictive. This book is about B. Schumacher. She is a plus-size fashion blogger. To shake things up, the producers of this famous reality show, The Main Squeeze, decide to choose her as the next main squeeze. This is a bachelorette kind of TV show, so she is the main squeeze. She will be the woman that, I think it was 20 contestants or something like that, have to try and court and get her to fall in love with them. And at the end of the reality show, of course, she has to choose one. It was so much fun to listen to. It was so addictive. There are so many discussions about how women are represented in media and sizes. Trigger warnings, of course, for fat phobia. You have a mixed media type of situation because you have emails and interviews and texts throughout the book that make the whole thing so much more engaging, and you just want to devour the whole thing in one sitting. I didn't do that, unfortunately, but it was just so good. I swear, it was incredible. And if you're looking for a good romance book that will just become the center of your life while you're listening to it, look no further. This is it. Next, I have a book that objectively is not as good as the others quality-wise in terms of writing and all of that, but I just loved it so much, and the reading experience was so nice for me that I have to put it on this list, and that is When You Least Expect It by Haley Cass. This is a women-loving women romance novel. Our main protagonist, Caroline, she is a lawyer, and before Christmas she meets this woman who used to be friends with her, I think, in high school? I don't know. This woman, Hannah, she is divorcing her husband, and she asks Caroline to be her lawyer, and it is a very delicate situation for her because she has a child. She wants to be the guardian of the child, but her husband, soon to be ex-husband, is very rich, and she's afraid that this will complicate things during, you know, the settlements and stuff like that. And we follow these two women through the course of a year, and of course Caroline becomes part of Hannah's family in a way. She becomes close to the daughter, and the two of them start developing feelings for each other, and it was just so sweet. I think it's not as steamy and as explicit in terms of sex scenes as other romance novels. It had a very slow building, but I just, oh gosh, I loved it so much. Again, writing style wise, it was not the best of things, and it has a very repetitive structure throughout the whole book, but you just get so attached to the characters, especially the kid, Abigail. I just cared for these women so much, and my partner had told me to read this book, and the whole time we were commenting it together, and I was texting her every time that something was happening in the book, and it was just a fun, pleasant, lovely reading experience that in my mind that book will just always be a great book that I read and that hopefully I will read again soon when I read something sweet to cheer me up and to make me all swoony and stuff, because it was just the sweetest thing ever. And also it starts and ends with Christmas, which is my favorite time of the year, so it was like, it was made for me. In August, I listened to 2 audiobooks that were just so good, and I mean there's a reason why I'm talking about them in this video. The first one was Dial A for Aunties by Jessica Sutanto. This was narrated by Risa May, and she did, oh my gosh, such an incredible job at narrating this book. The accents that she pulled off were chef's kiss. This is about a Chinese Indonesian family who moved to, where are they staying? I think it's somewhere in California. They have a wedding agency business kind of thing. It's her ma, and 3 aunties. I don't remember who does what, but the main protagonist definitely is the photographer, the wedding photographer. Someone else takes care of the cake, someone else takes care of the makeup and hair, another one sings, and another one is responsible of the organization of everything. The day before a very important wedding that they have to cater for, Madeline's ma sets her up on a blind date with someone, and Madeline goes on a date. Things go very wrong, and Madeline ends up accidentally killing her date. She doesn't know what to do. She goes back home, she tells her ma, and then her ma calls her aunties, and they all gather and try to help Maddie out to decide what to do about the body. And then the next day they have this wedding on this island, and somehow the body ends up on the island with them. And you have this comedy of errors, and there are so many twists and turns, and honestly I couldn't stop gasping and laughing throughout the whole thing. It was just hilarious. There's a second book coming out and I cannot wait. It's gonna be awesome, I feel like. There's also a very nice underlining love story, and there's also an LGBT plus couple in it somehow. I'm not gonna tell you in what way because that would be a spoiler, but I just loved everything about this book and I cannot wait for the sequel, and I would definitely recommend you listen to the audiobook specifically because, as I said, the narrator was incredible. And the other one that you absolutely must listen to as an audiobook is Mary Jane by Jessica Anya Blau. This one is narrated by Caitlin Kinnunen, and once again, she did such an incredible job narrating this book. She was just so good. She has such an incredible voice. She sings throughout the book and it was always so beautiful and on point. And at the end of the book, after everything has wrapped up, you also get a song, like an actual song that is composed by one of the characters in the book. So it's original and it was incredible and I loved it so much. This is set in the 1970s in Baltimore. Our main protagonist, Mary Jane, she is 14 years old and she is a very goody daughter. She lives in an upper class neighborhood. Her family is quite wealthy, but still she gets a summer job as a nanny for another family who lives in their neighborhood. This family just moved in and the father of this family, he's a psychiatrist and he is treating a patient for drug addiction. A patient who is a famous rock star, and so he and his wife move in with the psychiatrist and his family so that nobody in the world finds out that he's being treated for drug addiction. And Mary Jane takes care of their daughter and she also becomes friends with this family, with this patient and his wife, and it's definitely a life-changing summer for her. She is treated like an adult. She is welcomed at their table. They have conversations about sex and about drug addiction and about non-conventional marriages. I came across this very randomly. I wasn't even sure that I actually wanted to read it, to listen to it, but then once it started, I couldn't put it down. It absolutely hooked me so bad and I am so grateful that I read it. It was so good. Don't miss out on it. It is so good, and definitely listen to the audiobook of this one. Next, and I think I read this one in October. Again, I listened to the audiobook of this one. What a surprise. I'm talking about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and together with it, I would also like to put the second book in the series. I'm blanking on the title right now. What was it called? I just checked. The second one is Good Girl Bad Blood, and then the third one that I'm currently listening to now is As Good as Dead. But anyways, I'll be very short because I think that you probably know what this book is about, what this series is about. First of all, this is a YA mystery trilogy, and I loved the structure because each book has a specific murder mystery that she is investigating one way or another, but at the same time you have an overarching plot that binds all the three books together, and it gives them continuity, particularly in terms of the repercussions that what she's living through affects her. And that's one of the reasons why I love this series so much, because I find it to be so realistic and not just your typical 17-year-old girl investigating murders just because. What she sees, what she does to solve these mysteries affects her in a deep way. She starts suffering from PTSD for what she's lived and what she's seen. So the main protagonist, Peppa Fitzamobi, she is working on her high school capstone project. For her project, she decides to examine how was the media coverage of a murder that happened in her town, I think 5 years prior. A boy was found guilty of killing his girlfriend, but then he committed suicide because he couldn't deal with what he had done. And working on this project and gathering clues and information, interviews and all of that, she starts figuring out that perhaps it wasn't the boy that really killed his girlfriend, but there was something else going on, so much more going on. And with the help of the boy's older brother, she starts investigating for real what happened to this girl who was killed, Andy Bell. Apart from what I already said before, I really loved this book in particular, but also the series as a whole, because of how the mysteries are built. There are so many trigger warnings for drug addiction, for death of a pet, for abuse of different sorts, for mental health issues, depression. So just be aware of that before you go in. There's no sensationalism. Everything was dealt in a very respectful and tactful way, but at the same time the author is not afraid to go there, but she doesn't do it for shock value. You can tell that it serves a purpose in the story, and that had to be there. It was so realistic, it was so well done. You have some LGBT representation with secondary characters. There's an interracial family where the mother and father remarried, so you have a stepmother and a stepfather, but it is such a nice, loving, cohesive family. I love them so much. I loved the dynamics so much, and also the love story in the background was so sweet and realistic and adorable, and I just love this series so much. You just need to go and listen to the audiobooks, because the American edition of the audiobook has the special effects. It has a full cast of narrators. You get to, you know, like hear the interviews, effects and phone calls and all of that, and it just enriched the story so much, almost as if you were listening to a podcast or a true crime thing and all of that. And if that's something that you like, you will absolutely love this book. The last two books are both YA books, and I've talked about them previously on this channel, actually several times throughout Vlogmas, so I will truly be very brief because I have reviews for these books. So if you want to know more, if your ears haven't fallen off yet because of how much I've been talking about these books, then you can go and check those reviews out because they're there. A book that absolutely destroyed me emotionally and that I fell in love with so hard, and it might be perhaps the best books that I've read this year because it just was so relatable and it felt so close to me personally. That book is Anya on My Mind by Nancy Garden. This is a coming-of-age story that is set in the 1980s in New York. It is about two girls becoming friends and slowly falling in love. And their love is, of course, challenged in so many ways, from so many different directions, but perhaps it finds a way of existing, of thriving no matter what. And I just loved these books so much. Again, I listened to the audiobook. It was narrated by Rebecca Loman, and she just made it so much more perfect. She gave it that ethereal, delicate touch that it needed to have. And it is a story about coming to terms with who you are, with your identity, of exploring yourself and your sexuality as well, and just finding your place in this world and finding that one person that you have that kind of bond that cannot be broken or tarnished no matter what happens. And it was just so beautiful. And it was just so close to me in so many ways. I don't want to get emotional right now, but I loved it so much. And please, if you read or listen to one book out of this whole video, let it be this one, because it was just beautiful and it deserves all the love. And the last book that I'm going to talk about in this video, again, there's a review up for it. It is Stay Another Day by Juno Dawson. What a surprise. Nobody had seen this coming, right? And again, who would have said so? I listened to the audiobook of this one. The narrators, Dani and Carrie Thomason, were so good. This is set in Scotland. They have Scottish accents, so it was just perfect. The perfect Christmas bliss that I was looking for in this book. It is a dark, mature, and hilarious YA novel about these siblings who reunite for Christmas in their family home. Willow is the youngest sibling. She's living at home with her parents and she's suffering from eating disorders. She has for years. Rowan and Fern are twins. They're at college, so they're coming back home for Christmas for a few days. I think it starts on December 21st and it ends on December 27th, something like that. Fern is bringing home her boyfriend. She is the I have to be in control kind of person. And Rowan, he's gay, he doesn't do relationships, he likes to live his life and enjoy and party and all of that. And once the McAllister siblings all reunite in this house, well, secrets come to light. Shit happens. It's all the drama. It was dark. It was hilarious. It was so Christmassy and I just loved everything about it. And if you don't mind the trigger warnings for eating disorders, for biphobia, for transphobia, because there's a non-binary character, also more explicit content, talks about mental health and sex and all of that. If you don't mind any of these things, then this is the book for you. You will listen to it, you will love it, and that's all you gotta do, and my job here is done. And this is it for this video. These were the top books that I read in 2021. I truly loved all of them. I think they reflect the entertainment that I was looking for in 2021, but they are all truly incredible, praise-deserving reads, and I love them so much from the bottom of my heart. And if you're ever in the mood for any of these, please listen to them, read them, and you won't regret it, because all these books are, in one way or another, absolutely incredible reads that will blow your mind and will make you laugh and will make you fall in love, and they were just perfection, and I love them so much. This is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it wasn't too long. Please let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books, if you would like to, and also please let me know what your favorite books of 2021 were, because I would love to know, and I always want to find out about more incredible, mind-blowing books, of course. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and until then, have a good one, take care, and keep reading. Warm hugs. Bye.